many espressos have you had today?
I had coffee right before this, so this is 4.
8 o'clock at night. Let's have a good one though. Thank you. Seriously.
You got it, of course.
Welcome to another episode of CCG Live. I'm really hyped for this session because I have not only one of my best friends, but a real entrepreneur, fresh out of the box, who's created something phenomenal, and he's gonna dive deeper into it. But I really look up to what he's done and his entrepreneurship. And even foremost, he is a brother to me. And even more so, a lot of people might know him as Big Whistle. So give a little introduction, please.
It's true. I don't know what you want me to say, but my name is Anthony Portale. I'm 26 years old, and I am the owner of Whistle Motors and one of the owners of Giovanni and Anthony Auto Inc. here in Tuckahoe, New York.
So this is gonna be fun because me and you go way back.
Right.
You're my boy. Even though we met in college, I didn't like you.
I know, I was aware.
We were playing indoor soccer, and I thought you were we'll beep that out. Then, it just happened. We just became boys, and
I don't want to take over your interview, but why don't we start there? What were your first impressions of me?
Seriously, we were playing, it was freshman year, we were playing indoor soccer at the Recplex. I was the Fairfield kid on campus. Everyone knew that. It was my 5th year because I went to high school there. I was never exposed to the New Yorkers. And fast forward 8 years later, all my best friends from college and roommates are from New York, unfortunately. I'm gonna get hate for that. But yeah, so I met this Italian kid who's playing soccer. He thought he was the shit, and he was good. He was all right. And ever since then, I think I saw you that weekend. We were out, whatever, hanging out on a weekend, and we ran into each other, and you were just mad goofy and cracking jokes, and we kind of hit it off ever since.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that misinterpretation of me, especially because of what I do on the internet. Like when it comes to the videos I put out on Whistle Motors daily, every time I meet someone, they're like, "Oh, I was expecting you to scream in my face." I'm like, nah, it's not really, how I greet people in the real world. It's just more for, content.
One thing that really defines you, I think, would be you move in silence, like the G in lasagna, which your roommate actually told me that one. Shout out OG.
I do.
But that's really your vibe, and we'll dive more deeper into your presence, let alone with the automotives and cars and all that, but also on the media side, because that's a huge part of your brand and your company.
Right.
But yeah, so we go way back, and I kind of want to just get started, post college. What were you doing?
I went to Fairfield University with CISO, and I majored in accounting and finance. And so naturally, the progression at Fairfield University is if you're an accountant, you have the opportunity to do a 5th year. You do a 5th year because you can get your master's done. They have an expedited program. And also, if you want to become a CPA or a certified public accountant,
you were locked in. You were grinding.
I was.
CPA is no joke, and stressful job to even pass those tests. And I remember you were grinding with that. So after that, you moved out to Manhattan, and you started working for a accounting firm?
Yeah, so where I grew up is about a 20, 30-minute train ride from New York City. So I used to take the train into work. At this time, it was still pandemic-ish. So there was really no requirement to be in the office. So I had a semi-remote job at a Big 4 accounting firm, and I worked there for a little bit over a year.
And then you transitioned over to hedge fund, correct?
So
private.
Yeah, so I worked at one of the Big 4 accounting firms for a year until I passed the last part of my CPA examination. I got the license, I got all the bonuses that come with it, and then I decided, I wanted to do a little more because, again, I wasn't in the office, I wasn't really having that interaction with people that I think I needed, and I wanted to move into the city and I wanted to make more money. So I moved into the hedge fund space. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, to be honest with you. No one in my family has, stepped into that space. I'm a first-generation American. Both my parents are from Italy. But
you come from entrepreneurship as well, and we'll dive deeper into Giovanni and all how that got into it.
Yeah. So
but keep on going.
Yeah. So small business and entrepreneurship was definitely all I kind of knew.
You're doing this. You're passing these tests. You're living the business Wall Street type of guy in one of the biggest cities in America.
Right.
You were, fulfilling that lifestyle that people saw in movies, grinding, crunching the numbers, headaches, coffee. What else were you doing at the time?
What I think you're alluding to is like, how did I start Whistle Motors? And actually, I started Whistle Motors back when I was still doing my 5th year in Fairfield. So while I was studying for my CPA and getting my master's, I had the bright idea to start Whistle Motors, which back then was called OUAC Club. And the reason why I started it was actually, I wanted to do something similar to this, where I had the idea, it was COVID or the pandemic, people were inside, a lot of people were on the internet watching YouTube videos, and I had the idea, like, let me interview owners of very cool cars and find out like how they were able to achieve this car in their lifetime, right? Because usually, a lot of those people come with fascinating stories. That quickly transitioned into what Whistle Motors is today, and we can get into kind of how that, that pivoted.
Yeah, we'll pivot more into that. But it's a fun fact is, that's one thing when I met him in college was, I wasn't a big car guy. I like my Lambos, Ferraris, and all that. But he was driving around a Mini Cooper, John Cooper Works, Roadster. Yep. I'm not good with the terminology,
no, it was
but
good. It was spot on.
This thing was Mario Kart with the turbos and everything, And I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. And, ever since then, my car knowledge has somewhat evolved, but ever since then, you were the car guy, and you had that love for cars, and you had the unique cars, and you knew the engine in and out, and I saw OUAC blossom. I saw, you took the vision that you had and slowly started putting on paper while achieving a CPA, which at first, my mentality as a good friend of yours was, all right, he's got a nice hobby going, that's cool. Yeah. And to be even fast forward, 6-7 years later, being here and interviewing you as a true entrepreneur, as a person that took that dream while achieving a CPA, it's a sick thing, man. And I looked up to him ever since for taking that risk. You're working these long hours at your corporate hedge fund job.
Right.
I knew you were stressing. So tell me a little bit of that turning point from quitting your job to fully pursue Whistle Motors.
So just to make the timeline a little cleaner, yes, I started OUAC in the bedroom of my 5th year college apartment. And, I had a whiteboard with people I wanted to interview, business owners. I kind of had a roadmap that I wanted to do. And so what I started doing was I was posting pictures of cars that I thought were going to go up in value, because for my whole life, I've been pretty good at picking them out, but I obviously didn't have the capital to buy these cars myself, so that I could, financially reap the benefits of the knowledge that I thought I had. And so after I graduated and I came back home, TikTok was getting big, and so instead of posting these pictures where I wasn't really getting too much traction, I posted on TikTok for the first time. And what I did was I captured what I do every Sunday, which was go to a very popular block in Connecticut that has a ton of dealerships when they were closed on Sundays. And the reason I did that is I used to walk around and see what people were trading in. That
You're
way,
like a kid in a candy shop too.
Of course, because there's about 12 or 13 dealerships on that one street. And the reason why I used to walk around there is because if there was cars that got traded in over the right on Friday or Saturday, and I knew someone looking for that car, I figured maybe I could bridge that deal and find someone on the outside who wanted that car and plug them into the dealership.
You were really working the streets.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And so I just recorded myself one day on TikTok going over the cars and seeing what I found on the street. And I noticed I got 500 views, which now to me sounds like nothing,
of course, compared to the numbers you're doing, but
but on Instagram at the time, when you're getting 2 or 3 likes on a picture and you see 500 people, my eyes, like my brain, something went off in my brain.
And people that you didn't even know,
no,
too.
I never knew them.
That's a difference.
Right, and in my brain I was just like, if 500 people is an auditorium, 500 people is, even though it's an insignificant number today because of what people see on the internet, but you put 500 people in a room and you're gonna have a tough time getting from one end to the other. So when that happened, I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep doing this. And that's kind of where, OUAC Club at the time took off.
Let me stop you there. Was that mindset more of now, wow, I have something to present to people that's grabbing their attention? Or now is this from a business perspective, like I can kind of monetize this?
At first, it was definitely not a business, can I monetize this? At first it was, let me see how far I can take this. Like,
Because it's something you cared about.
of course, it was something I was already doing. Like I love car, like everything you see that I do on social media, like, is my lifestyle. Like, I live and breathe cars, which we'll get into, played a big factor into why I decided to leave corporate America. But yeah, at first it was just like, how far can I take? Like 500 people this week, that was one video. If I post 2 or 3, that's, 1,500, 2,000 people. It's a lot of people. Let me see how many people I can get. And so I started building from there. So I would work during the week and go to this street in Greenwich every weekend, try to get as many videos as I could so that I could post 1 video every single day.
And at this time, you were still working accounting.
Of course, yeah. I was working my first job outside of college, and I didn't want to show my face because I had a corporate job, and I was nervous to what could happen. And then one day I said, yo, if this is gonna work for me, people are gonna want to put a face to the name.
So let's dive more into the social media aspect of it. You weren't a big social media guy
At all.
He hated taking pictures in college.
I don't like even being on camera. Which is,
so talk a little about that, because it's not like you were shy or anything, but we also grew up in a generation where TikTok in college wasn't a thing.
Right.
And now we saw it within a span of a year after graduating, people doing dances on TikTok and making millions.
Right.
And you didn't like being in front of a camera. How was you posting your first video?
Yeah. So
how'd that feel?
I mean, when I made the decision to start putting my face on camera, I just looked at and I didn't know how the business of social media worked, but I knew that some of the people that I was looking at on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, they were making real money. And my thing was you can call it arrogance, but I was I feel like I can offer a little more, entertainment with value attached to it. Because a lot of these people were doing, nothing that really adds value to the end user's life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing a TikTok dance, right? It's entertaining.
There's
to
no
watch.
education.
But yeah, exactly. It's fun to watch. It's entertaining to watch, but are you adding value to someone's life? And I was like, if I'm able to, and they're making a living off doing this. So my thought process was, if I'm able to add entertainment and some sort of value
and education,
I'm doing something great. So that's kind of where my brain was at. And I was like, if this is gonna work, I have to put my face, on the camera. And a lot of people ask me how did you get the confidence to do it? And I was just like, well, if you don't, it's not gonna work. And so
you have to bite the bullet.
Right, and I'm the type of person where if I put my mind to something, I'm gonna see it through, and it's either gonna crash and burn or it's gonna work.
But at least you took the leap of faith.
Of course, yeah. And so far in my life, I haven't really lost when I am in that zone. So that's what I did. So fast forward, I was posting all the time on TikTok, growing at a rapid pace. I was, recording videos in my car.
But you were getting out of work 6, 7 o'clock.
I was sometimes, maybe I shouldn't say this now. I could say it now, but sometimes during my lunch break, I wouldn't eat. I would go drive to the spot where I used to record videos in my car. I would pump out 3 more videos. So I was always uploading.
But then you would get off work.
Right.
I'd give you a call. You're like, yeah, I just left work.
Gotta record.
Yo, I gotta go record now.
Yeah, gotta record. So I was always recording, trying to get as much possible. I was growing very fast on TikTok. Wasn't really focused on Instagram at all, just TikTok. After a while, I was like, all right, I need more money. I really wasn't set on the bridge of I'm just doing social media. I wasn't making any money at the time. I didn't love my job. I was like, I wanna make more. I wanna move into Manhattan. So I got another job at a hedge fund, which was actually a more demanding job professionally. And I did that for about 1.5 years. I started bubbling on Instagram a little bit as well. It got to the point where I was in a position at my new job where I noticed that they were trying to set me up to, take on a
long term.
They were trying to make me responsible for a bunch of different things, which I was super appreciative of.
You were succeeding at your corporate job. Right. But in the background.
In my mind, I knew I wanted to do this because now I'm at a point where I'm walking down the street and people will stop me and be like, yo, I love what you do. And outside of just I guess the ego boost that gives you, who's that?
It's a customer.
Might be a customer. Outside. Outside.
You want to check it out?
Nah, let me look.
Life of an entrepreneur never stops working. All right, let's dive into the good stuff now. Let's talk about how Whistle Motors, as it is established, really flourished for the past 5 years it's been active, and how you've seen it kind of shift into these different paths that I see it. It's the media, the advertising, the storage, the body shop itself, the cleaning service as well, the detailing bay. Give me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, Whistle Motors today, the way I like to look at it is like it's a media outlet. Like I look at myself kind of as a journalist online. I talk about, you know, cars that I like, which is one thing that I think sometimes it gets people mad. But you know, I do it because I love cars as well. That's kind of what keeps me going every day. You can't wake up and talk about something that you don't love. It is a media outlet. I think that, you know, back in the day, you used to subscribe to a magazine and you would get your information there. Now you open up Instagram, you open up Twitter, TikTok, YouTube.
Everything's right there.
Yeah, so I essentially think of myself as, I guess, an independent journalist. But Whistle Motors has evolved to a little bit of, and this is more as of recently, more into probably my lifestyle. Now that I'm pretty much 24/7 just an automotive junkie. Whistle Motors is now a storage facility here in Tuckahoe where I, you know, store some private clients' cars. I look after them. It's a very intimate, hand-to-hand. I'm really the only one, you know, operates the business and deals with the customers.
It's like a boutique storage place.
Very much
nice
so
cars.
for people in the area. So that's a lane that it's evolved into. And you know, back in the day when I, you know, around inception, when you asked me, did I ever think of it as a business? Once I saw that number of 500 people seeing it, I was like, all right, these are 500 people online. Can I build a business backwards? And so essentially that's, I think, the chapter that I'm at with Whistle Motors now, where I built
your book of business.
Yeah, a following of, you know, a couple 100,000 people, and you know, there's a lot of eyeballs on me every month, which I'm super appreciative of and, you know, excited about. And now I have something to offer them, whether it be storage or the body shop now that I own with my dad.
And that's something I really commend you on, because you really did a reverse model.
Yeah.
In terms of, you built out your book of business on your iPhone.
Right.
Recording on a tripod.
Yeah.
And you really grabbed the attention of a lot of people, a lot of enthusiasts, a lot of people that liked what you were talking about or even learning. I've learned a lot from you. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of honed in on it and created this ecosystem where if you have a car that you want to store and keep it up to maintenance, I got a storage place for you.
Right.
You need the body shop work, I got that for you.
Right.
You want to learn more about cars, I got that for you.
Right.
You want to sell your car,
right.
I got that for you.
Yeah, I think the sales thing is kind of the next big chapter that I'm gonna step into, because, you know, I talk about cars for a living on the internet, and it's very organic because it is. You know, these people come to me like, I have
keep
a
it
cool
real.
car. Yeah, they have a car, it's cool, you want to talk about it. If I feel like it's something that, you know, I want to talk about, I will. And at the end of the day, you do get a lot of eyeballs on those cars. So what's the difference between listing it on a platform that has traditionally existed where people can, you know, find a car, or seeing me on your Instagram telling you about the car instead of reading the description that...
And keeping it authentic. And,
right, of course.
And not selling you, you know, a sleazy car salesman type avenue.
Right, so that's kind of where I'm starting to step into now. I don't think it's gonna be a full-fledged, like I'm gonna run a dealership, but it's gonna be...
A little branch off.
Yeah, it's gonna be, listen, like if you want a certain audience to see your car, and you look at my audience and it resonates, I'll take your car on consignment, or I'll buy it outright and sell it. You know, there's a million different lanes that this can go, which is, I think, for me, I get very uncomfortable when things start to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And business of the internet is a very uncomfortable space, and I think I like to live there.
Too.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like living here.
So actually, let's jump into this then. Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about electric cars. Let's talk about that realm, which I know you're not too happy about, but let's first talk about how AI is gonna impact, not per se your business, but the car world, dealerships. Where do you see that happening?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at Tesla's business model, right, they don't have the traditional dealership blueprint, right, where there's salesmen. From my understanding, I never bought a Tesla, but
I did.
You just buy it off your phone, right, and it shows up somewhere and you go pick it up.
I'll be full proof of this. I had a Tesla in my hands within 24 hours. I didn't speak to a single person.
Right.
So
that eliminates how many people? The finance manager, the salesman. So the whole enterprise of a car dealership could potentially change. Now, is that positive? Maybe for someone who's just looking for a quick transaction. Yep. But some people, I think, really do value the experience you get when you walk into a car dealership. They want to know about they want a human to tell them about the car. They want to feel like they're being taken care of. So I think by losing that human interaction, that human experience, some people are going to be disappointed. I think financially, AI fits in where the people who just want a car, they don't want to talk to anybody.
Streamline the process.
Exactly. I think that's where it fits in. I think it'll become more
convenient.
I think it'll become more common, and I think maybe the top performing dealership franchises will exist. Now, where I don't think AI fits in is where kind of I like to do business, which is the privately owned boutique dealerships, right? So instead of going to buy a brand new car from the dealer, we're talking about a used enthusiast vehicle, something that is more of like an art piece, or some people like to use the word investment. I wouldn't use that word, but something with a story, something that, you know, came out 20 years ago and only certain people are familiar with. Those kinds of dealerships, I think AI may help on the operation side.
Might leverage that business.
Right, exactly. But I don't think it's gonna exist in the form of you don't even deal with the sales.
And it hurts the business. Because that's one thing people should know about you too. I see a Lambo, I see a Ferrari, McLaren, my lights light up, you know, it's sick. You see a classic M3 that looks like it just got hit by a train, and you're like, that's sick.
Yeah, I think I have a different set of eyes when it comes to cars. Like I think that, again, I like what I like, but I've been around them for so long and I've driven so many of them that I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just like the old school feel. Yeah, I just like the old school feel when it comes to cars. Like I've never been the biggest into like new tech. Like I never needed the big navigation screens or anything like that. Obviously, it's convenient and I understand why people like it. That's why when people come to me,
you don't even have Bluetooth.
Yeah, I mean, I like to get in. For me, a car is therapeutic. Driving a car is like my place where I can kind of just like block out everything and just like focus on the road and like not listen to any music. Sometimes I listen to music, a lot of the times I don't. Yeah. And I can kind of just
feel the car.
Right, it's just me, the road, and like kind of everything else in my life is like away. So I like the older cars. You can't do that.
Dom Toretto, you live a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, something like that. So that's why for me, I think the older cars have always been like kind of where I like to live.
All right, so now that we kind of talked about the beauty and your dream moving from paper to, you know, realism, let's talk about the bad stuff.
Okay.
Let's talk about you becoming an owner, an entrepreneur, the headaches, the calls that I get from you about how shitty your week was.
Yeah.
What has been the hardest? Tell me what's been kind of the hardest hoop you've had to jump through getting, you know, Whistle on off the ground.
So the biggest challenge for me right now, and it has been for, you know, a couple of years now, is trying to find a balance between, you know, work and life. And unfortunately, I'm just at the place, I think, in my lifetime where my work is my life. For those who don't know, again, my father retired in 2020. He had a very good business in the body shop space. You know, thankfully, he owned the real estate that he operated in. And the people who rented it from him after he sold the business moved out. And so we had this vacant spot. Conveniently, I had quit my job a few months before, and I had the idea for the storage business for Whistle Motors. And me and my dad kind of went back and forth, and we came to the agreement where if I was gonna do that, we gotta open up another body shop. And so I kind of got sucked into the body shop life, which was something that I ran from when I was younger.
Bittersweet.
Right. I ran from when I was you know, younger for a couple reasons that we'll save for another day. But now at 26 years old, I operate a storage business where clients have access to me 24/7. I'm on the internet every single day, multiple times a day for Whistle Motors posting. And from 7:45 in the morning until 7:45 at night, I run a body shop. I'm grateful for all of it. Like, I think I'm the luckiest human in the world to be able to operate a business under the same roof as my dad, doing something that I absolutely love every single day. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't get a lot of sleep.
Saying all the pretty stuff, now give the real raw back end of it.
It's very taxing. Like I've lost relationships with people that, you know, I love dearly. That has, you know, fractured that in more ways than you can imagine. Family members who say, yo, why don't you come on Sunday sometimes? Because I'm Italian and that's what we do on Sunday. You know, but for me right now, I'm just in the state where I work. So to answer your question, for anyone who wants to pursue pursue a dream or wants to see something reach its fullest potential, I think the sacrifice is sometimes financial, but a lot of times it's mental. You know, I haven't taken vacation in years, a real one. When I'm on vacation, I think the last real vacation I took was in Miami with you, and even when I'm there, I'm posting and recording.
Oh my God, so you wouldn't stop.
Yeah, so I think that the biggest obstacle is being able to try to figure a work-life balance where it doesn't really exist. Just knowing that it's okay sometimes to, you know, take a couple minutes and reset. So yeah, some of the day-to-day challenges is obviously now I'm in the service business with the body shop repair business, right? So dealing with customers where Whistle, it was just me. You know, I made my own schedule, I uploaded, you know, when I wanted, I answered every comment pretty much the same way.
Now you got face-to-face clientele.
Yeah, now I have a real service business where I'm on top of everything, giving customers more check-ins than some of them deserve. But that's just how I like to do business. I want people to know, me and my dad are here to service them.
Yeah.
So, and the body shop business, again, this is a conversation for another day, it's very complex. There's a lot of different, things that people don't understand.
Insurance companies, dealerships.
A lot of people don't even know how a lot of stuff works, right? So to try to explain that to someone who is already upset that their car is crashed is not
an
the
easy
easiest
task. Espresso number 2. 3. 9 p.m. So we left off talking about what area in building Whistle was kind of the hardest, or you had to focus your attention a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the most difficult thing, especially when you make it like a full-time thing, like you want to do social media for a living,
especially in the generation we're in,
is that you put the pressure of now finances on something that you essentially post for free. In my situation, you got to be a different type of crazy to wake up for 5 years straight and hit post on a free product that you've dumped hours of your life into. Family's not gonna understand it, your friends not gonna understand it, because that doesn't really make sense. I can now say, one of those posts to some people is worth, a 3-figure check. To some it's worth 5.
And to some it's worth nothing.
And to many it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
But the reality is you can make money from it. But to answer your question, it's very taxing on someone to wake up and continuously have the motivation to create good product and just release it.
And good content.
For free, yeah. Exactly. So that's definitely something that's difficult. How did I get through that? I diversified my income, obviously. I have storage, I have the body shop now, I have strategic brand deals, and so I think that's kind of the only way to push through and to constantly be willing to evolve and pivot. Like I said, I started making clothing, then I turned to pictures, then I turned to videos in my car, and now it's more informational and educational, and also, advertising. Who knows, next year it might look like something else.
100%. And we'll talk about where you see, Whistle evolving to the next 5-10 years.
Sure.
God willing, of course. But what was the hardest, or even I kind of want to give up moment have you had so far?
I'm not really a give up kind of guy. Yeah, I never really had a moment. Well, there was a rough patch for a little bit where I was seeing a lot of views. Everything I posted was fire. Like, it was going crazy. The number, and I couldn't really understand what I was doing differently. I was doing the same thing I've been doing. Could have just been a change in the algorithm.
If not better content too.
Could have been, but then it got, quiet. You know what I'm saying? The views weren't where they were previously. And, that's definitely discouraging. Again, it goes back to the thing, like, you spend so many hours writing, editing, producing, and I do all of that myself. And to do that and get little return on that time, meaning low views or whatever you...
Compared to what you've seen, which was...
Right, compared to where it was, that's definitely difficult. I mean, my advice to anybody in that boat, and I still feel like I'm in that boat. Like, I still
You called me last month and you're like, Ciso, I'm putting out better videos, better quality, better education. Why are the views down?
Right.
And you gotta ride the wave, man.
Yeah, my thing is to just stay consistent and keep going, because even if you're not getting 10,000 views, I promise you, because I've had these conversations with people. Let's say your video gets 50 views. One of those 50 people may be the CEO of a company that wants to do a deal with you. Maybe it's someone who wants to sell you their car. So like I said, we've been conditioned to see a number on social media. Some of these people that make millions of dollars every year have millions of views. Do you know how many people a million is? You're talking about multiple stadiums of people. That amount of attention for 60 seconds is worth, depends who you ask. Some people it's worth nothing. Some people it's worth 100 grand.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of what the situation is. But to answer your question, that was definitely difficult for me. Seeing views go up and down, but I'm at the point now where it's like I just produce what I like, when I like, and I try to put it out at the highest quality I possibly can.
When you have a hard day and a stressful day at work, what do you do to decompose? How do you keep yourself sane?
I think pray is a big thing. I think you lean into like spirituality. You lean into whatever you believe in. That's something I've definitely done to stay, focused, motivated in times of where I was unsure about things. I've literally had situations where I've prayed for signs. The next day, I got a good phone call. So prayer is definitely something I think is important when you're in a rough patch. I think routine, consistency, go to the gym.
Big gym.
Work out, get on the phone and talk to a friend. Get your thoughts out. Sleep is huge. So it's something that I don't really do.
Yeah.
To the best of my ability. Sleep, eat, like do the basic human functions that we all know.
You gotta invest in yourself before you invest in your business.
100%. Like, you are the battery to your life. You gotta charge sometimes. And so I would say, if you're having a rough patch, get 8 hours of sleep. Doesn't matter what you have to get done. You're not gonna get it done on 3 hours of sleep. So sleep, eat, work out, lean into spirituality. Maybe talk to some people that you're close with if you feel like it's something that you want to share.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise, you just got to keep it pushing. But I think installing a routine that's consistent, which is definitely the hardest thing to do when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you don't have a set 9 to 5.
Exactly. It's not like, okay, 5 o'clock, you can shut it off, turn off your comp. Yep.
Make it work. If you got to wake up an hour earlier to go to the gym, go to bed an hour earlier. You have to do it. So I think implementing a routine is probably the single best thing you can do when you're in.
What motivates you to bring in clientele every day?
I'm just very fascinated with people and people's story. Like, I have a guy who, he actually just came yesterday. I washed his car. His name is Mr. Rob. He's an old man. He's always driven a black Mercedes CLS, even though they don't make them anymore. He still has one. And when I see someone, of his age, the way he speaks to you when he walks into a building, super polite, well put together, in a black Mercedes that looks cleaner than a brand new thing of dish soap. Like, he's just a well put together guy. Before I even think about anything else, I think about who is this guy and like what is his story. And so for me, being in a business that's client facing, that I get to bring in customers, like, I'm excited to see who the next person is to pull into my garage door, because you don't even know where that relationship can end up.
They got a story, their car got a story.
Right, of course. And so I think that what motivates me is the fact that I don't know my best client yet. I don't know, the coolest car that I'll come across. I don't know the coolest car I'll get to cover yet. Mm-hmm. So again, I treat everybody with respect. I'm as honest as I can be with anybody that walks into my facility, or when it comes to business dealings. And I'm motivated to just expand my network as large as possible, because something that I've always heard, I'm sure you've heard it, especially growing up, is, your network is your net worth. Yeah. For me, I've seen where a relationship can get you.
That's a good
point. The internet has opened up an opportunity for everybody. Me, you. I mean, I've seen it because I do it for a living now. But you could reach someone on the other side of the world that you used to watch on television. Yeah. And have a conversation about a mutual interest like an M3 or a Porsche 911. So yeah, what motivates me is the fact that I don't know everything, and I know I don't know everything, and there's people out there that do cool shit, and you want to learn their story. I'm fascinated by people's story. I love to see success.
That's a good point you just made too, is you don't know where this is going to lead by networking and meeting these good people. How do you hone in on, building your book of business?
Again, I think it comes to just be a genuine good person. Don't walk into a situation with expectations. That's a big one. Don't expect anything from anybody, because nobody owes you a thing. I think if you show up in your most authentic, genuine self and you present that way, especially if you're posting on social media, you let people know what you're about, they'll come to you. Like, a lot of people reach out to me to ask for things. Hey, can you find this car? Hey, can you sell this car? Do you know where this car is at? Do you guys do this? And if I don't do it myself at this business, I'll outsource the business to a business owner in the automotive space that I know does the business at a high level.
And you're expanding your community.
And now I just did 2 things. I brought that guy, I put some money in that guy's pocket, and I had a guy who is happy with the service that they came to me for. So even being the middleman sometimes is beneficial. So that's one way to preserve your network and to utilize it correctly. But yeah, I think just show up as an authentic, genuine person and tell people what you're able to do for them, if you are able to do anything for them, and maybe they're able to utilize you right then.
You never know what they have something to offer as well.
Right.
So with social media being such a big industry now in our generation, it's very saturated. If it comes to Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right, YouTube, a lot of people are funneling in that direction, quitting the 9 to 5, because it's really become a sector that is thriving. Yeah. How do you as Whistle set yourself apart from that?
I think the only way you can is, and it's kind of ironic, because instead of naming Whistle Anthony Portale and making an individual thing, I called it Whistle Motors. I probably did that in the beginning because I didn't want it to be only me. But
you wanted to give it an identity.
Yeah, exactly. Its own identity. But to answer your question, I think the only way to separate yourself is to be yourself, because there's only one of you. So yeah, you see me online screaming, and again, that's why I only talk about things that I want to talk about.
Because passionate about it.
That I'm passionate about, because that's me. That's how I feel. If you like it, great. If you don't, you can keep scrolling. Sweet. But yeah, I think on social media, the best way to show up is to just show up as yourself. Because if you're following what somebody else is doing and you see working for them, it may work temporarily, But when that trend is over,
It's over.
How do you pivot? And so, yeah, there is a lot of people, quitting their 9 to 5 to do social media. I think there's a lack of education around the business of social media. I think people think they know how money is made on the internet.
It comes down to a lot. It's the algorithm. It's split. We don't have to dive into it because it really is.
I don't mind. But what I'm trying to say is really do your research. Like anything else, like you may see a couple dollars initially, but nothing in life is easy. 100%. So if you think that you're just gonna wake up,
sit in front of a camera and post and make money,
the people who are doing that right now, they probably put in years of their life, a lot of time, and now they've built themselves to the point where they can just point and shoot and get your check from it.
And that's what a lot of people don't see. Is
of course not.
You see the beauty, the lifestyle, the cars, all that.
They never saw the failed YouTube channel. They never saw the failed MySpace profile. They never saw the 6 usernames they had before the user. You don't see that stuff. So I think people need to put a lot of respect on the people who do social media professionally. Even if you don't feel like it's a lot of work, there's years in their catalog that you never saw that they were learning. They were learning how to shoot correctly. They were learning their story or how to present their story in a way that's digestible.
They're learning the analytics of it behind that as well.
Right, so for Whistle, yeah, I think it's evolving more to a place where how do I separate myself? Well, I have to make it more about myself. I never made it about my own personal cars. Now I started integrating, some of the cars. Starting last year, I purchased a car and I showed it online. I had a car before,
which was a sick story, and you definitely check it out if you haven't yet.
Yes, on my YouTube channel, at Whistle Motors. But yeah, I think I'm leaning more into, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want people really in my personal business too much.
Of course.
But I chose this life, so might as well, show as much as possible.
How do you deal with haters?
To be honest with you, I really don't get that much hate, which I'm blessed about. You'll get a couple comments that are like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or you should just quit. And for me, it's like, I'm not gonna let one person behind a screen ruin my day when I have millions of people who hit the like button every month, And not that I do it for those million, of course I'm appreciative of everybody.
The good outweighs the bad.
But I started doing this because I'm passionate about cars, and no one's gonna change that. I'm not gonna change my career path because of someone on the internet. I don't really associate myself with people who would want to see someone else lose or fail, So I don't think I really deal with that too much.
Because you already separate yourself from them.
Like Ellen said, I work in silence. I don't really speak about things until they're done. So I don't really give the opportunity. And I think that's a gem for anybody that's trying to do social media or start a business. Is I know you're probably excited and you have this vision in your head, like this is what it's going to be. Keep that to yourself, use it as fuel and work towards it. And when you do it, there's not really going to be much to be said. People are going to see it. So keep things to yourself, work in private, and I think you'll be much happier with the results.
5 years has been Whistle?
Whistle will be 5 years old on October 14th, 2020.
Okay.
So we're approaching the 5th year.
So Whistle being live and up and going for 5 years now, have you had that, or when have you had that moment is, I made it. I'm on the right track. Definitely
when I got the phone call from BMW to do that track day I did last year, that was like a dream for me. I mean, just quit my job, didn't really know where this thing was going, and I got a phone call from one of the guys over at BMW, like, oh, how would you like to do this for us? And I mean, you can't really get a bigger compliment than one of the biggest companies.
One of your favorite companies.
One of my favorite companies, yeah. Extending the arm to start a relationship with you. So that was definitely one of the greatest things I've done. Since then, I've also had the opportunity to take home the new M5 that I had for a week. So, I mean, getting to pull in.
That was a sick video too.
Thank you. The work is paying off in ways that maybe I didn't think at first, so.
I'll tell you this. So, I don't know if you know this, but on my end, it was one day I was working in Greenwich. I think it was a Saturday or Sunday. You had just finished work. You shot me a text what I'm doing. I'm in the area. We met in Greenwich, we grabbed a coffee, and we were just sitting outside on the benches.
Oh, yeah.
And we were having some conversations, chopping it up, talking whatever. And out of nowhere, a guy just walks up to us, doesn't look at me, and goes over to you. He goes, "Are you Whistle Motors?" And I was just like, wow. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. And they just had a full-on conversation. I think the guy ended up working in one of the dealerships around town, and gave you his card, and you guys chopped it up for a while. And for me, I just sat back and witnessed it all. And that's when I saw you make it, when we were just randomly sitting on a bench, drinking a coffee and someone came up to you and was like, I love your work, I love your content,
Yeah.
you know, you're great. People at work talk about you all the time. Here's my card, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm probably most grateful for. And it's like the most humbling thing in the world to think that like someone you've never met before, like,
Organic,
yeah,
authentic.
knows who you are, like appreciates the work. Because again, like I said, it's very, very difficult. There's no amount of money you could put on a check to give me. I mean, maybe there is, but there's money doesn't really fulfill you the way that knowing somebody else appreciates
Something you created.
something you built that did not exist before you hit post. So those moments, like, and I'm lucky enough to say that I've had a couple of those now.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing in the world. So that's what honestly keeps me going.
So seeing success over the years, the good, the bad, the easy, the hard, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself starting off again, or someone else just getting started up into the entrepreneur world, the car world?
Whatever you think is gonna happen is not gonna happen when you think it's gonna happen. I think you really have to learn patience. You have to learn to take everybody's word with a grain of salt, because there might be a conversation you have where someone is like, I'm ready to do this today. Like, and you're like, this could be big for me. And you don't hear from them for
Ever.
right. So have low expectations, you know, continue to build what you want to build. Over time, it's going to get better and better. You know, I still don't consider myself to be in a place where I'm this like big successful guy. You know, like there's a lot of things that I want to achieve, and
But you're on your way there.
thank you. But I think what I would tell myself is to just keep going. You'll figure it out as you go. So I would say just keep your head down, and you're right. So don't second guess yourself.
But seriously, seeing you grow over these last couple years, not only as a businessman, not only as an entrepreneur, as a close friend of mine, and truly a brother to me. You know, you've helped me out in numerous situations and scenarios, and I look up to you as someone who's running a successful business. And you know, I really thank you for taking the time to sitting down with me and giving, you know, the people a little raw, uncut footage of what it is to become, you know, an entrepreneur, to work hard and to see, you know, the dirty work that comes behind from it.
Thank you.
And you know, sky's the limit for you, man. And I know you're gonna kill it in the future.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm happy to do this.
And he will give away this BMW if this gets 10,000 likes.
Definitely won't.
But thank you, man. All
You
right.
got it.
That's it.
This was fun.
Done.
All right. Thank you, bro.